Welcome on in, everyone, to today's live stream. The number one key to pain-free life. And I'm going to teach you what this number one key is, which does not require any exercise. It doesn't require a long rehab routine or going to the gym, or maybe you've even been trying chiropractic, massage, acupuncture. You've tried therapy. You've tried so many different things that just aren't working. So I wanted to share this number one key with you today that I have discovered from my experience in working with clients who are struggling with injuries, struggling with chronic pain over the last 20 years. And I've really seen what works for folks and then what might be blocking or keeping other people from discovering that pain-free life that they really want to be living. Maybe there's an activity you want to do. Maybe you want to go snowboarding or skiing, or you want to go on a hike and you're just not able to do that because you're struggling with an injury or struggling with pain. And this came from my masterclass we did last week on the 3 keys to life after pain. So I wanted to jump on here today and do this live stream just for this group, Thrive Beyond Pain, so that I could share with you kind of a summary and the number one most important thing that you could be doing if this is you. And if you have not met me yet, I'm Jenna. Welcome to the group. And if this is your first time joining us today, then please comment below where you're coming from. And if you're resonating with this topic today, let me know. So let's go ahead and just jump right into this. The number one key is that pain comes from our brain, and we can turn off the pain signal. So that is the good news. Anything that we're experiencing in our body is happening in our brain, right? And so that means that pain is generated by the brain as a protective mechanism. So it's there, of course, to protect us, which is a good thing, because if you cut yourself on the arm and you're bleeding, you want to know that you just cut yourself. You want to feel the pain so that you can treat that wound. So that is, of course, the purpose of pain. It's our brain's way of telling us something is wrong. Something is just not right here. Okay? So the good news about that is that we can turn off the pain signal in the brain. And this is often coming from the limbic system, right? So we have the reptilian brain, and the reptilian brain's job is to detect threat in our environment, to see, well, what's going on? And it wants to keep us alive so that we can survive. And this mechanism in our brain is there for a very good reason, but sometimes it can work against us and we can be stuck in this hypervigilance or this fight or flight nervous system state, right? And our body cannot heal when it is in that fight or flight state because it's trying to just survive. Its number one concern is survival. We often call that the survival state, right? And so because the reptilian brain is trying to keep us alive, it is maybe there's this overfiring of this pain signal even when there is no longer a threat. So maybe you've injured yourself and that injury is actually healed, but your brain is still telling you there's a problem here, there's an injury, and so you're still getting that pain signal, which is often the case when it comes to chronic pain. So the good news, of course, is that we know through the science of neuroplasticity that the brain is plastic, which means that the brain can change. It can change at any age, so you don't need to be young in order to heal from an injury or to turn off that pain signal. It can happen at any time. the brain can change. And since pain is a learned response, it can also be unlearned, which is a really good thing, right? So the first thing that we want to do is to be able to shift the brain's focus from pain to possibility. And there's many ways to do this. So I talked more about this in the masterclass that I did last week, but our brain follows what we focus on, right? So what we focus on is going to grow. And if we're constantly thinking about pain, then that's just going to reinforce those neural pathways. So maybe you get out of bed in the morning and normally you feel really stiff, or maybe your back hurts when you get up out of bed. And so before you even get out of bed, you are already anticipating that pain. You're thinking to yourself, I'm gonna step down out of my bed and I'm immediately going to be in pain. I know that this was my experience when I was struggling with a back injury, and when I would be laying in bed, my pain would maybe be at a level 4 or 5, but if I would get up and get to standing, it would get more to like a 10. And so before I even got out of bed, I'd be bracing myself, preparing for that pain. But if we always do that, then we're just reinforcing those neural pathways, and we want to be able to change that pain loop by telling the brain, okay, now we're focusing on something different, on a new possibility, and we're starting to create new pathways in the brain. So that's what neuroplasticity is. Studies have shown that the brain's reward system, when we focus on a positive outcome, that reward system is activated, right? And so that's the reward system that is associated with motivation, with emotional resilience. So this rewiring helps to reinforce hope and reinforce healing. Okay, so here's how I am going to suggest doing this. If you're wanting to work on this today, you can do this right here if you're in your room. If you're driving, this is maybe not the best time to do this, so you'll probably want to watch the replay of this instead. But we are going to do a short visualization practice, which is a very powerful tool when it comes to rewiring the brain. So when we can vividly imagine a pain-free life, what it looks like, what it feels like, what it sounds like in our bodies. So what would you be doing if you could do anything you wanted to do, right? So I have a goal of climbing Mount Whitney, and right now I am not in the physical shape to be able to do that, but I really want to do it. So I visualize it, and I obviously will also do things to train and condition my body as well. But the first step is, first of all, believing that I can do it, because my brain, my mind wants to say, you're not going to be able to do that, but why not? Other people do it. Why can't I do it? So the first step is that possibility, the belief, and then focusing and training your brain that you can do this, to move away from that pain pathway that you've been stuck in towards new possibilities and new experiences, okay? And studies have shown that the brain does not distinguish between an imaginal act, something that you are vividly imagining, and something that you're actually experiencing in real life. It does not know the difference between that. So, for example, research with athletes demonstrates that mentally rehearsing movements and activities before a game does the same thing as actually training and conditioning and physically performing that activity. So this is something that athletes have been doing for a very long time. I learned this when I was a dancer, and when I would visualize myself having a great performance, remembering the choreography well, performing well, feeling good and strong in my body, then it would always go better than I could even possibly imagine it going. It would go better than I had even imagined it in my mind, and not once did that technique fail. So that's how we know that this actually works, okay? So I want you to, if you're in a quiet space, we're gonna do this right now, so just take a moment, and I want you to think about what does your ideal life look like, and what would you be doing? What activities would you be doing? Where would you go? Maybe like I said, I want to hike the tallest peak in California, Mount Whitney. So I visualize that. So what would that goal be for you? And it doesn't have to be climbing a mountain peak. It could be something like going on a walk with your family without being in pain. Or it could be something like getting out of bed without feeling stiff and tight, right? So I want you to just take a moment here, close your eyes, and visualize yourself having that experience where you are able to move freely, you're able to move joyously without being in pain. And see yourself in this moment doing that thing that you really would love to be doing, that you'd love to be able to achieve. Take all of your senses into this moment, into this experience. Feel yourself, feel your body having this experience. And notice the sounds around you, the colors. Just imagine this as vividly as you can. And when you're ready, you're just going to come back and just open your eyes. And if you were able to do that visualization practice with me, comment below. How did that feel for you? How did that go? So I just wanted to greet the folks that are here on this live stream as well. I see that Farrell's watching and Gio. How did this feel for you? Also Juan is here. So Gio says skiing and surfing is a stretch goal for me. I can definitely relate to that. I want to also get better at surfing. So that is also one of my goals. And when I do this practice for myself, I will sometimes also visualize myself surfing and catching that wave. So that's a really great goal. And what is keeping you from that goal? And skiing as well. Is it you don't feel strong enough, or is it pain and injury, or you're not sure how your body is going to respond? So just out of curiosity, that can be a really interesting question to ask ourselves is, what am I feeling afraid of in doing this activity? Because especially if it's something like maybe you haven't skied in 10 years and you really want to ski again, but you're not sure. You're like, am I strong enough to ski? I don't know. I haven't done it in so long. But you haven't tried yet, so you don't know. So this is a short practice that you can do. Try this out. Let me know how it goes. If you're watching the replay, please comment below. How did this feel for you? And my suggestion would be try this every morning. You don't need to do a very long practice of visualizing for an hour. It can literally be 30 seconds. So you can just stop for a moment, close your eyes, feel your body, take a few deep breaths, and just feel yourself doing that activity that you would love to be doing. And then just notice what happens after that. Notice how that unfolds. And it's always interesting too to journal about this of what do you notice? Does your body feel different after that? And are you noticing that things are starting to kind of change a little bit for you, that maybe you feel like you can achieve that goal that you thought that you couldn't achieve? So that is all I have for you today, and I will be doing another masterclass next week.